We would like to thank our sponsor, Island Savings. Island Savings, a division of member-owned cooperative First West Credit Union, provides banking, borrowing, and investment services for residents and businesses across Vancouver Island and the Southern Gulf Islands. Island Savings brings innovative products, an extensive branch network, and local decision-making to the banking experience.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Business Matter presented by Island Savings, a division of First West Credit Union, where we delve into the stories and insights of leaders and change makers in our communities. I'm your host, Rob Capello, and today we're joined by Rich Hodgkinson, co-founder and head of operations at Ammolite Technology. Thanks for joining me, Rich.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. So I'm curious if you could tell us, we're going to start at the story behind Ammolite Technology. What inspired you to start this company? Like, where did that idea come from and how did that all come together?
Absolutely. My co-founder Glenn and I, we both were IT veterans, 20 plus years, both of us, and bounced around primarily in Alberta, oil patch and some other, organizations. And we either as employee positions or consultant positions, that everyone in IT seems to have that story. You start off on the help desk and you kind of move your way up. And I was lucky enough to get exposed to some, project management and some neat areas. But Glenn and myself, we met at an oil and gas company, and really, he was a consultant at the time. I was a consultant at the time. We had lunch one day, and we just, we clicked, and there was this mutual kind of idea that he wanted to grow, I wanted to grow. I'd have to hire a salesperson. He'd have to hire a sales, and we just said let's shortcut that and join forces. So we started Ammolite back in August of 2019, right before COVID, which is usually would be a scary time to start, but in IT that was actually looking back on it, a best time. A lot of growth there, which was fantastic. So it's been a fun story, a fun journey so far. But origins in Alberta. But I'm the lucky one that we moved our family out to Victoria in 2018. So I joke that us Albertans usually end up in BC at retirement. We just want to shave off a few decades. So it's been a great move.
That's right. I did notice you guys have offices in Calgary, Victoria, and Houston as well. So how did that come about?
It's once IT is very virtual right now, but having said that, there is advantages to having boots on the ground to support your clients locally. But we just had some very strategic opportunities down in Texas, and we looked into how to get started in Texas, and we joke that now we're international, and world domination is next. But our bread and butter is Western Canada. That's where the majority of our team is located. And that's really where we call home and where we want to grow. But if there's a market that makes sense elsewhere, we'll definitely look at it.
So what's I'm curious, the story of the behind the name? How did I know what the name represents, but how did you come up with that, and how does it fit sort of what you guys do?
When Glenn and I met, we were trying to think of an IT company, like, a name for an IT company. And it was challenging. There's always going to be these IT, whatever you call it. And they didn't seem very original. So, he quite likes precious rocks or precious stones and things like that. We have some history with working at a company that also had that in their name. So we thought, well, let's do that. So then we're like, do we want to be ruby? All of the different stones, and we're like, that doesn't sound right. But Ammolite, we're like, oh, that's an interesting name. And it's a stone that's only found in southern Alberta. And we thought that's kind of neat. That's where we met and joined forces. And it's at the top of A at the top. So we're like, oh, people will see it first. So it's when you see like AAA towing or something like that. We're like, that's how we're gonna do that. So we like it, and it's been well received so far.
Well, it's cool that there's a tie to the origin story, though. That's kind of cool. I like the connection there. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is, and it's just and it's all Glenn. He came up with that. I had some crazy names, but he came up with that, and it rolled off the tongue. It wasn't hard to pronounce, and that was also important, just so that when we're presenting to people or when they're looking for us, they're able to there's no pronunciation issues, so that worked out well.
That's excellent. So when I was preparing for this, like one of the things that came to mind when people hear the word IT, it could be a scary term for some. It's a big term. It means a lot as well. And I'm curious if you could explain a little bit about the services you guys provide in that world, like because IT is a big term, but I know that
Right.
there's specific services on how you guys work with small, medium-sized businesses. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And you're right, IT is all encompassing, and it's overwhelming for a lot of small to
Right,
medium sized business owners. There's getting hit with headlines about these large companies that are getting hacked and all sorts of AIs taking over, and there's just all of this, this sensationalized headlines, and there's obviously there are very big risks out there, but what we do is we try to come in and really give business owners peace of mind. I think at the end of the day, they want to know that they're secure. They want to know that their team is happy and productive. And if IT is not, or technology is not, performing well, it
right,
can be a big burden on morale and productivity, and just a kind of a negative spiral there. So
right,
we work with clients to understand where they are today, where they want to be tomorrow from a business perspective, and then we try to map that back to what technology can help. Because in certain cases, AI is great, but it doesn't necessarily need to be top of mind for every
right,
business out there.
right,
So we really try to make sure that our clients have that time to discuss with us, what are they trying to accomplish, where are their pain points, where are their gaps, and then we can put like a strategic review together and say, okay, you need to get here, but we're going to help with quick wins along the way to get you there. So
hmm,
again, our conversations we're having with clients and prospects these days, it's all around security. It's all around how do I stay productive in a very competitive environment, and how can I use things like artificial intelligence or data, the data visualization and all of that these days. So those are kind of the conversations that we have, and where we try to add some value.
You've mentioned a few things there, like between AI earlier said about remote support. I'm curious, like you've been in the IT world, or for technology world for 20 years, 20 plus years. So where's a big shift? Like what if from you, if you look back when you started into today, like where's been, you mentioned a few of them, remote would be one, and AI. Is there other thing that comes to mind where we've seen a big change?
Or organizations are really harnessing their data.
Mm,
Besides people, I think data is probably your largest competitive advantage in most
right. Right.
cases. And in the past, get out your Excel spreadsheet and try to watch Google to try to understand how to build a pivot table, and you're off to the races. But
Right.
now you have some very powerful data visualization tools, something like a Microsoft Power BI platform. It's often included in a lot of licenses, and you can, with very little kind of training, you can give end users some pretty powerful tools. Now these organizations are starting to interact with their data and make better decisions that ultimately kind of get them closer to where they want to be. So analytics has been
Right.
a big one, and I'm not talking small businesses getting data scientists on their team and all
Right.
of
Right.
that, but it's just having that some of those low hanging fruit tools that users can use. Again, AI, the Chat GPT thing is really opened up some people's eyes to what's possible there.
Mm.
Again, I'm not of the view that it's going to replace
No,
everyone.
I
I
agree.
think it's more of a soup starter.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm thinking of something, and then it gets you a ways there. But maybe I'm an old school guy, but I do think that we all bring something special to the table, and AI can just complement that. So that's definitely a trend that we're seeing. And again, hybrid work's not going away. So I think it's how can we make sure that the teams feel like they're supported wherever they are. I think 20 years ago when I was starting my career, I wouldn't answer an email after 5 o'clock, but
Yeah,
now
yeah.
it's a little bit different. And I think we need to make sure that staff are supported so that they have productivity throughout what they consider their work days. So those are
Interesting.
kind of some of the trends that we're seeing.
You must have. I was thinking that the years you guys must work with so many clients, and you must see and hear everything. And Is there anything that stands out? I know you can't name names for sure, so I'm asking for clients, but is there, maybe a project or a client or where you guys really stands out, where you guys came in and really made a difference, or the opposite, where like you walked into like a disaster and you were able, you were able, because like I said, I feel like IT is probably neglected by a lot of small and medium sized. They're like, I don't know, my computer works, it's running, like, you know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
I'm simplifying it, but anything would stand out for the last few years? They're like, yeah, like this is where we really were able to show the value we can provide to clients.
One of the recent ones that we've had really good success with, working with a larger client
Yeah.
that, had a lot of data, but it was, again, that crazy Frankenstein pivot table Excel sheet that I mentioned, and they had a very hard time, getting data into it. So what we did is we came in and, kind of again asking questions, trying to get a current state, like what
Right.
are you doing today and what does that look like, where do you want it to be, nirvana, future state, what does that look like? And then again, we use some pretty tools that are available to, anyone out there, on the Microsoft side of things. So we built them through Microsoft Power Apps. We built them a front end application that their team can quickly just punch in some data, and then that goes into the Power BI side of things, where they can, again, a junior person can come in
Right.
and slice and dice their data. So what I'm really proud of there is that, they tried internally, and were
Right.
struggling with that, and they used a provider in the past that was very, very expensive, and it wasn't a great fit for them. So we came in and we, for
Mm.
the last few months here, we've really been able to show them, like I
That's
like to say,
awesome.
the art of the possible, like
Yeah. Yeah.
what can, and now they're excited to say, oh well, we've done that, now what can we do?
Mm.
And part of that was also training them so that
Right.
they're not as reliant on us down the road, which, again, that's we build that trust, in that, hey, we're going to help you, learn to fish, so to speak, but in exchange for that, we're their trusted partner, and they'll bring us new
Yeah.
problems to solve, and
Yeah.
so, that's worked out really well. So,
Interesting.
every client is
It's
different,
different.
and sometimes that stabilization phase when we come in and take over is can be a little more onerous than others, but at the end of the day, every client does things slightly different, and our job is just to learn where they want to go and how we can help them get there.
To expand on that, then what does client onboarding look like? So if I'm a new client and I'm going to start working with you guys, what does that onboarding process look like? How much commitment is there from the client? Like, I would assume you got to get in there and you need to look at what's happening and not happening where you want to go. But can you speak a little bit about that onboarding process looks like?
Absolutely. So we've done enough of these to know that no two onboards are the same. It's just, it doesn't happen. So, typically what we do is, once there's an alignment, and a proposal has been signed, then we'll schedule a kickoff call, and that's really just to, we at that point we have a pretty good understanding of what makes them tick, what their organization comprise from a technology standpoint,
Right.
and then it's really, trying to map out a plan that works for them. So we have some particular tools or pieces of software that help us, deliver services effectively. So we get those loaded onto their machines. We do any final assessment pieces that haven't been possible up to that time. So there's a lot of work behind the scenes that we do that the client may be aware of, but it doesn't impact them. They're not under desks trying to inventory things or anything
Right.
like that. um, there's typically, we do 3 calls. We try to keep it fairly lightweight, just again from a onboarding customer perspective. We have a lot of data at this time, we can self-serve a lot of that, but essentially it's a kickoff call, it's a checkpoint call to make sure we're still aligned and everything is going well, and then it's a transition to operations call, that third one there. And again, we know that once they transition to our operations team, it's not the end of the road, it's the beginning. So that's
Mhm.
where, they can reach out to our support team. We're proactively reaching out to them, usually weekly and then monthly and quarterly based on, where things are going
Right.
and how comfortable they are. So we treat the onboard as the official onboard is we try to get that done as soon as possible. Then we start to, once it's in operations, then we really start to add the value, and we're supporting them. But if I'm looking at the onboard phase, unofficially it could last 6 months or so from our perspective, just making sure that things are going well. We have those cadence calls to make sure that everything's going well and they're happy. And another part of that is kicking off that strategic review
Right.
from a technology standpoint to make sure in that first month, do we have a alignment on where they want to go. From, we always look at business first. Where do you want to take your
Yeah.
business? And then we re-architect, then we try to map out how technology can help with that.
Interesting. I want to pivot a little bit to community. I know that one area, I looked on your website that, community involvement is something that you like to give back to community, and some of the partnerships you have with the Victoria Royals, Peninsula Panthers, and Power to Be. And I'm curious about your partnership specifically around Power to Be and how that came about, and what inspired you to support this organization. Like where
Right.
where did that connection come from?
Yeah, we got introduced to Power to Be a few years ago, and we just love what they do. They have a beautiful new facility on Prospect Lake, and their team is just so generous with their time, and we just really align really well from kind of a just a values
Right.
perspective, and we found an opportunity where there was a bit of a gap with their technology support, and in terms of it was a few folks internally were doing it, and they're obviously their value is doing their core role, and
Sure.
they were just trying to kind of support IT off the side of their desk. So we saw an opportunity to come in and relieve that pressure, and so we're working with them, providing their day-to-day IT support, and that's been phenomenal. So it's a partnership where I feel that we get back just as much as we give. It just in being a part of their community, and we're happy that we're able to provide those complementary services, because it really gets them closer to their goal, and providing their participants with access to nature, which is living on the island. Nature's all around us, and they
I
really
love it.
they really make it accessible for everyone. So we love what they're up to, and we're happy to support them so that they can invest their limited, I shouldn't say limited, their funds
Sure.
in
Yeah.
the best way they can, so they're not paying for IT support. So it's been phenomenal,
That's
and
great.
I'm hoping we can keep that going for a long time.
Well, and I love it that you're in the position that you can support organizations like that, and that's got to feel good from you guys and your team to be able to do that too, right?
Absolutely, and hockey is a big part of
Yeah.
our family's life.
Got
So
it.
we both our boys play for the Peninsula Eagles, and we kept going to a lot of the Peninsula Panthers, the junior team there,
Yeah.
and loved it. It's high end hockey, and we saw one of those little, do you want to be a sponsor? And we thought that might be a good opportunity to get into it. And then we found the Royals, and
That's awesome.
same thing. So at some point we'll have to go outside of hockey, but it's been great so far.
That's awesome. That's good. It's always nice to align with stuff that you love, right? So that's good.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, you bet.
I, I'm curious, Rich, how do you stay up to date? Like how do you and your team stay up to date with, I would assume IT, in the marketing world, things are changing literally by the hour, it seems like. So how do you stay up to date on what's happening in the IT world and the rapidly changing sort of field that you're in?
So there's a few ways that we do it. So one of our we have 7 points of culture that essentially values that internally we subscribe to, and one of those is continuous learning. So we actually carve out time in all of our technicians' calendars that for 2 hours in this a week, or 4 hours a week based on their role.
Right.
You're not your singular focus is on continuing your education, in the industry. And that, so we subscribe to multiple training platforms in the tech space, so people can go advance, be it a Microsoft certification or, on the networking security side, artificial, whatever, machine learning,
Yep.
anything that they're interested in. We make it very accessible for our team to do that, and also protect their calendars. So every week at this time, this happens. Don't bug so and so. They're busy in that. Also, our clients are great for, we get access to, a lot of very smart people in their organizations, and they're letting us know what they're struggling with, which we can then go and kind of map back to where do we need to get better, where do we need to focus some of our learning and attention to. And then there's absolutely incredible conferences that, have a lot of thought leadership that, as a, technology organization that we go to. And I never have yet to leave one of those and said that was a waste of time or money to get there. I always come back with ideas. I share them with the team, and they all panic thinking, well, how the heck are we going to do that? So they don't let me go to as many conferences as I used to. But I think it's I think it's from a cultural perspective as an organization. You just have to really, demand that, or encourage, maybe
Yeah.
less strong word, that, this is part of, being sure, making our organization and our clients successful. And it also helps our team when they're picking up new skills and they're upskilling themselves. So
Right.
it's worked really well, and everyone really has bought into that continuous learning aspect.
That's love it. I love the outlook on that, and in giving your team the ability to do that, because a lot of corporations or businesses don't allow that. So I think that's great that you're given the freedom to actually to learn and be better, right? So I think that's
Right.
great. Yeah. I'm curious, I have to ask before a couple more questions. I have to ask about this promotion you guys are running. I saw it on the site. Someone is going to win a $10,000 WestJet travel gift card that it could be, a dream vacation. How did that come about? Where did the idea come from? Is that something you've been running in the past? Is it new? Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we wanted to get out of, a lot of places they'll offer a gift card
Right.
referral, hey, if you refer someone to us, we'll give, an Amazon gift card or a Visa
Right.
gift card. And that's amazing. And we still do
Sure.
that too. Like, I think you want to make sure that the folks that go out of their way to
Yeah.
introduce you to another, there has to be some
100%.
thanks for that. What we were looking at, though, is can we find a way that it just, kind of passes that 3-second sanity check when people are quickly scrolling or whatnot, to be like, oh, well, that's different. So in our space, it's most of our clients, when we sign them, they stick around for a very, very
Right.
long time,
Right. Right.
which is great. We build trust over time, and
Yeah.
we love mutually working with each other. So what we thought is that, well, there's knowing that, there's the ability that we could potentially offer a larger price. So I went to my team and I said, let's give away a Tesla, something really bold and big, when we hit a certain amount of referrals. And they said, well, why don't we try something smaller, learn, and see if we need to, kind of
Yeah.
tweak the messaging or anything like that. So what we came up with is the WestJet, vacation. Victoria gets a little bit gray in the winter,
Yeah.
and
Fair enough.
sometimes it's nice to zip to Hawaii or Mexico or in between. So but
I
we
love it.
also wanted to make it so that it was attainable. So
Mhm.
a lot of promotions, you put your name in and it's a 1 in 5,000 chance of winning something. Ours is 1 in 10, and if you
Yeah.
put in 3 of the 10, then you have a 30% chance of winning. So I think it's a great, great just to start conversations, and someone's gonna win, and hopefully they'll let us know how their trip was. So that's open to anyone, clients, prospects, anyone, not even a prospect. It could be just,
Hmm.
someone stumbles across it and they know, hey, my sister-in-law's company is struggling. They're growing and they need to work with an IT provider. So we love to kind of get the opportunity to chat, and in tune, make sure there's a referral
Love
award
it.
there that's available.
I love it. I thought it was a great promotion. I think that's kudos to you guys. That's great. Last question, Rich, for wrap up is, What gets you up in the morning? I can tell you got a passion for what you do. You love what you do. What motivates you? Where do you get your joy from through the day?
I think the biggest part for myself and Glenn, if I can speak for him as well, is that we love seeing that light bulb moment go off with a client or a prospect that we're working with, that just all of a sudden knows that with a small tweak or adopting this piece of technology or that piece, that we can really make tangible change for them to the positive. So,
Mm.
a lot of organizations out there, technology is seen more as a potential inconvenience when your Microsoft Teams is doing an update right before you jump on a
Right.
call or something like that. It's always kind of has that negative connotation to it. So what we really get excited about is working with clients to understand, on the flip side, what is the opportunity in adopting technology. And that's what gets me up, because every organization out there is slightly different, and we can often really work hard to build them a plan that's going to move them closer to whatever their goals may be, and that's incredibly rewarding. So I don't see a career shift at any point in the future here, but potentially maybe more time on the beach one day. But until
Love it.
then, it's just make sure that our clients are supported, and have that advice that they've come to rely on.
Awesome. Well, Rich, thank you so much for joining me today. Great insights into your business and the journey and the world of technology and business operations. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and look forward to connecting hopefully again soon.
Love it. And everyone that's listening, do check out Ammolite Technology website, learn about their services. And if you refer a client, you could have 1 in 10 chance to win in a $10,000 dream vacation. So I would say go and encourage you to have a look. And if you enjoyed today's episode, just leave a review and share the podcast with your friends and colleagues. And please feel free to reach out with any feedback. And until next time, thank you for tuning into Business Matters, and have a great day. Thanks, Rich.
We would like to thank our sponsor, Island Savings. Island Savings, a division of member-owned cooperative First West Credit Union, provides banking, borrowing, and investment services for residents and businesses across Vancouver Island and the Southern Gulf Islands. Island Savings brings innovative products, an extensive branch network, and local decision-making to the banking experience.